Woodworking is hard, but it doesn't always have to be, unless you're this guy. I just so happen to have a few tips for you to help make it maybe a bit less hard. So let's do it. So the first way that I have that you can start to become a better woodworker is to just follow a set of plans. You can either go out and buy some, considering there are thousands and thousands of plans out there, or you can try your hand at making your own. If you're a newer woodworker, following a set of plans can just help you visualize your project before you just start cutting up random pieces of wood. It also allows you to practice and learn some new techniques that you may not have ever used or knew existed. Using plans can help relieve the stress of trying to find that perfect design. So instead, you can focus on honing your skills a bit better. For the most part, the plans will definitely save you your time and your hard-earned money in the long run. All right, my next tip is to take those plans you just drew up and throw them away. Now, what I'm not saying is to just dive into a new dining table project and have no idea what you want it to look like. But what I am saying is once you are comfortable reading plans, you should try to build some smaller projects and just wing it. This forces your brain to have to do some creative problem solving and allows you to have a little less constraints. Without following a set of plans, you'll naturally have to learn when to use the right tools, methods, joinery, wood species. You get the point. Most of the times when I'm building for fun and not for a client, I almost rarely ever follow a set of plans. I love to just go off the cuff and make it up as I go. I find that this helps me enjoy woodworking a little more, which in turn makes me better. But it's never a bad idea to draw out a set of preliminary plans just before you start that are pretty vague. I will warn you though, just like I said before, to start with some small projects because if you get into some bigger and more complex projects, you could definitely have some problems. My third tip, and probably my best tip, is to try something new on every project that you do. Whether it's using a new tool, cutting hand-cut dovetails, or just using a new jig, learning new techniques is the fastest way to up your game in woodworking. For example, this cabinet that I finished a couple months ago, I used end-grain veneer, and before I had literally no idea that that was even possible. For this cutting board, I did like 43 inlays in it just because I needed practice and for kind of no other reason. And for my most recent project, this end table here, I tried power carving the base using a new finish type and black dye, and that were all new techniques to me. I like to think of it as leveling up. Each new technique that I learn is like gaining a new level. The more levels that you have, the more powerful and better woodworker you become. Trying new techniques can definitely be a little intimidating, but you can't be afraid to jump in and try. Nothing ever good comes from your comfort zone. Sometimes you just have to get a little uncomfy. Okay, maybe not that uncomfortable. I would recommend trying your new technique that you want to do on a scrap piece first. This just ensures that it's possible to do and you don't ruin your project that you're working on, especially if you're trying to sell it. Now this tip could be a tip that some people may not like to hear. My fourth tip is to just buy better tools. Now, buying better tools, but important, not always more expensive tools, will just make your life a little bit easier in the shop. Not only will you be more productive in your shop, but the higher quality tools will help you be way more accurate, which is important. The first thing that I would do is check and tune all of your current tools. If your tools aren't true, you'll never get the results that you're looking for, even if you have a $3,000 table saw. Now, there are countless videos out there that will help you tune pretty much any tool that's ever existed. As we all know, being able to transfer and take accurate measurements could be the difference between a masterpiece of a project or a piece of firewood. As I learned from experience, I would recommend buying tools that you can grow into. And this sadly usually means shelling out a bit of extra cash. For example, I bought this bandsaw about a year ago, and at the time it was the cheapest one on the market and it was perfect for what I needed. But now a year later, it's severely underpowered and I wish I just would have shelled out the extra money and bought a nice one that fits my needs. So even though it feels like you're saving money in the beginning, you actually have to shell out more cash since you have to buy both tools. All right, I know what you're thinking. Does this dude think I'm made out of money or something? Well, I do have a plan for you to help you budget and get the tools that you need. What I would do is make a list of the nice tools that you need in order of the value that they will add to your shop. For example, a nice cabinet table saw might add a little more value than, say, a drum sander or something. But once you have that list made up, you can go down the list one by one and buy each tool as you save up enough money for. I'll have a link down below of some tools that I really like that I think are at a really good value for the price. Anyways, soon enough, you'll have a full shop of really nice tools and you'll see your work improve drastically. For my fifth tip, I would recommend trying to learn a new 3D design software, especially if you're trying to make this into a full-time business. This kind of goes along with my first tip about reading and using plans, but learning a 3D design software can really help you take those jumbled up ideas you have in your mind and put them into, well, 3D. There's some great softwares out there like SketchUp, and what I personally use is Fusion 360. From a business standpoint, this will allow you to communicate with your customers much better by being able to show them what their project will look like instead of just calling them and telling them, dude, seriously, come on, just trust me on this one. It's gonna be awesome. Also, being able to use 3D design will help your business stand out from others. Even for my hobbyists out there, learning a 3D design software is great because as you're going along in the building process, you can easily make tweaks to your design in 3D. All right, so this video was originally only going to be 5 tips, but because I like you guys and I kept thinking of good tips along the way, I do have a 6th tip for you. So, that tip is stop comparing yourself to other woodworkers. Now, I know I'm not the only one that falls victim to this, especially with social media these days, but I often see first-year woodworkers trying to compare their work to people who've been in the field for like 15 years. What you need to know is woodworking is a hobby that takes patience and takes years and years to build up your skills. When you say like, man, I could never build a project like that, you're really just taking the fun out of the hobby. A quote I often find myself thinking about from Theodore Roosevelt is, comparison is the thief of joy, and this couldn't be more true. So stop worrying about what other people are doing and try to take inspiration from them. Just keep working on your skills and keep leveling up, like I said in the 3rd tip. Soon enough, everyone will be oohing and aahing about your project too. All right, I actually do have a quick couple of bonus tips that I want to tell you real quick. So the bonus tip is collaborate with your local woodworkers. Now this is a great opportunity to meet some people in your community as well as find some people that enjoy the same hobbies that you do. It also will allow you to get a second opinion on some things and learn some new techniques maybe. All right, hold on, one last tip. My last tip is to watch and listen to people on YouTube who know what they're talking about. And I'll let you decide if you think that I know what I'm talking about. But I know for sure there definitely are some great people out there that do know what they're talking about. Oh yeah, also stop making blue river tables. Wait, you didn't want me to say that? Methods and joinery.